Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Paul Adepoju, and I'm the community manager for the ICFJ Panel Forward Forum on Global Crisis Reporting. And I'm really, really excited today because this is a session that we've actually been looking forward to doing for quite a while. And why is this so? The advent of the COVID-19 pandemic made us to realize that things cannot really continue to be so, and we actually have to endeavor to do things differently and support those that are doing things differently, especially in the area of media. And that is why we are trying to look at how we can better position, empower, and guide journalists and media entrepreneurs in different parts of the world that are interested in, those that have already started their business ventures and those that are still thinking of starting. My own personal media entrepreneurship journey dates back to my undergraduate years. I was in the class, medical science school, and I just read my daily dose of the newspaper when I just wasn't comfortable with the lack of proper localization of content from my country, that newspapers were just copying and pasting what they were seeing in foreign publications, which inspired me to start my own web platform, which I think still exists today. And there are different motivations for different journalists or different persons from going into that. And we are going to hear some stories today about some individuals and media experience from different parts of the world. And we are also going to have some guidance from a consultant who knows a lot about guiding media entrepreneurs and providing some guidance and expertise on how media entrepreneurship ought to be done. So we are kickstarting this session with Adriana Garcia, who is a digital media and design thinking consultant. How are you doing, Adriana? Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Paul. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, so we'll start with Adriana's presentation, but before she goes live, let me also introduce Miriam. Miriam, who is the co-founder and executive director of OC Media. How are you doing, Miriam?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm good.
Yes, quick introduction. Garcia is a former journalist who is now a strategic and innovation designer. She spent more than a decade working for Reuters in Brazil and the US. She was Rio Olympic Games digital director, and she's also a Google News Initiative teaching fellow. She's a Stanford GSK fellow and holds a master's in communications from the University of Sao Paulo. Miriam, on the other hand, is a founder and executive director of OC Media. She has 13 years of experience in journalism and documentary photography. Before co-founding OC Media, she worked with different local and international online media outlets, and she has a master's in media engineering and a bachelor's in journalism. Thank you very much for joining us. So let's start with Adriana to provide some guidance and expertise and tips on how this can be done. And before she starts, we are also actively interested in knowing where you are joining us from, our participants. So which is why you can use the chat box to engage with us. Tell us your name, tell us where you are joining us from. And if we need to do some localization of this edition, we will look at the chat box and do that. And if you're also watching this session live on Facebook streaming, you can also engage with us using the chat box under the video that you're watching right now. I think Adriana is already ready. She was ready even before we went live. And let's start with Adriana and I'll go back.
Again, welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to speak slowly to see if you are able to follow me. I hope that my internet connection is good, but if you have any problems, just let us know by the chat and we'll see what we can do. It rained here in São Paulo yesterday, and when it rains, the connection sometimes doesn't stay stable for a few hours or even days. So let's hope that we are lucky today, and that we can have this conversation. As Paul said, I am a long-term journalist turned into a strategic designer. I decided to make this move about 12 years ago when I decided to stop working in journalism to work for journalism. And that brought me to start a design thinking journey where I think I found the toolbox that helped me navigate what is this startup world and this innovation world and this entrepreneurship world connected to technology that is available to all of us at a very low price. So my question at that time was, why aren't journalists becoming entrepreneurs more often if reporting is the most entrepreneurial activity that I know? And with this question, I started to study what is entrepreneurship and what's required to become an entrepreneur. And through the design journey, I found that to be an entrepreneur is not so different to be a reporter. So I felt that I was right in that assumption, but I still had evidence telling me that I was not so right because you see, it was the time of bloggers, it was the time of a few journalists joining Twitter, and now we have this creator economy environment. So what does it take for us to make this move, and why it was so hard for us journalists to really set up ventures? The first thing that I came to the conclusion after talking and giving workshops to a few thousand journalists, I would say, is that we are made to be right. We are made to go into the world, to write stories, to get evidence, and to be to bring the most complete version of what is going on in the world. And for us, to make mistakes is a big problem. And for us to become entrepreneurs, we have to make peace with the idea of failing, because we have to make the process of learning a daily experience and get this hard skin to be able to consciously learn every day new skills and new things. The entrepreneurial journey, for me at least, is not different from the scientific method. The scientific method is not so different from the journalistic reporting method, which is not so different from the design method or the entrepreneurial method on the lean startup kind of way, if you know what that means. If you haven't read that book, that's a good book to read, The Lean Startup. But when you go through the scientific method, you develop a hypothesis, then you go to the field, you test that in reality, in the threshold of experience, then you come back to the lab and you see what worked, what didn't work, and you redesign the method or sometimes the scope of what you're doing. If you relate that to building narrative, it's the same. We have a story idea, we go to the field, we do reporting, or we go to data, we interview data, we create hypotheses on data, and then we come back and we possibly talk to an editor if we are lucky to have one. And by this interaction, we decide if we have enough material, if the grasp of reality was enough, if we need to go and do some checking again and do some reporting again or interview more people. And then we go back and write our story and we put out a product, right? News in this world is a product. It's something that we sell inside a vessel, which is a website, a newspaper, podcast, it doesn't matter. So the gist of it is that when you move that narrative kind of method to the entrepreneurial method, it's basically the same. You will have a hypothesis of something that is needed in the market or in society, depending if you're going for profit or non-profit, because this is a very important question as well. And you will try to fulfill that by making experiments, little experiments. So generally, this is how we start. We go into the field to make some tests. We come back and we redesign. This in entrepreneurship is called iteration. We iterate. We come back from the field. We test if our hypotheses about needs of information are right, are correct, and we redesign whatever we are doing. This is the second challenge that we can find, because journalists are very much in love with their ideas. And to be an entrepreneur is not to be in love with your ideas, but to resonate with what comes from the field, what comes from the audience, what comes from the user. And you have to be consciously at service of what comes from the field and redesign your idea every day for that purpose, to serve the user, to serve the reader, to serve your audience, okay? And that leads me to another question that is very important in the design thinking process. If you go to the inverted pyramid of journalism, you have, you know, what happened, when did it happen, how it happened, and why it happened, and who did it, right? In design, the most important question to start is why? Why am I doing this? Is it clear to me? Why am I doing this? You have to keep asking this question every single day to understand where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, any path is possible, right? So redesign your mission every day with what comes from the field, but do not forget why you're doing it. The second thing is document your journey. I want to serve certain audience or cause, because it's very different. Generally, the best thing is if you have a cause or a point of view in the world and you match that with the audience, because that's a sweet spot. Then you will find an audience, and then you may find even like economic success, okay? If you're just trying to push a mission, maybe you're a nonprofit. And these are questions that you have to be asking yourself every day in your diary. So do your entrepreneurial diary and document the journey. First thing, when you start, you can put a podcast, you can put out a blog, you can do a newsletter. It costs almost nothing. But then you have to decide many different things after that. Where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 10 years? Create a plan for yourself. Envision your plan. Try to understand and study your market and understand where you can arrive in 5 years. Is that what you want? Do you want to grow incrementally or in a more exponential way? Because one of the things that I discovered about this startup world is that if it doesn't scale, it's not a startup. It's a lifestyle business. And that's a very important decision that you have to take as well. If you're going to have journalism as a craft and you want to do your content, you will have to find other people to help you right away. If you don't know how to sell, you may be able to sell the story, but can you sell a product? Can you sell a commercial plan? If you don't know how to do it, start looking for people who can complement your gifts, because you will not be enough to do everything. And when you start doing the stuff, then it's like a tree that's growing very quickly, and then you have to start making a lot of decisions every day. So it's like a decision tree that grows branches every single hour. So you start thinking about marketing, audience, commercial, the story, the content itself. Lots of different things will start to pop up, and you will get quickly overwhelmed and very tired and sometimes lost. So you have to make a plan to have good guidance, people you can talk to, other entrepreneurs. They don't need to be journalists. They don't even need to be in the media field. It can be any entrepreneur, because the process is like the scientific method. It's the same. So it's a learning journey. And then you will document it, and you will see, today I need to do this, today I need to do that. And depending on how organized you are, you will be identifying what you will need to do the next day. After you identify your allies and you identify who can help you, maybe for free, because people are good, you know, people are good, people help you. Just ask for help. You are not afraid to get no for an interview. So don't be afraid to get a no if you need any other resources. Just ask. It doesn't hurt. And you will make, as I said, a lot of mistakes. So look for people who complement your profile, who have different type of intelligence that you, who have different skills, and who can inspire you and maybe guide you and maybe help you, because you probably won't have money to pay anyone. I'm assuming you don't have any funders. That's where I'm starting this conversation. I don't have anything. How do I start, right? So then you build your community of helpers, and then you start voicing and shaping and making tests about the product. It takes a lot of time to build an audience, and everybody thinks, oh, digital is so easy. It's just to make a newsletter or just put an Instagram account, or, you know, get any of the tools available. No, it requires a lot of things. It's like a company. You will have to think about budget. You will have to think about clients. You will have to think about promotion and marketing. You will have to think about audience engagement. You will have to think about product, which in this case is content, and it's just a small part of what you're going to build. And you have to understand why you're doing it, because at some point you're saying, oh my God, this is a lot of work. And the way to approach the moment when you have this, what I call growing pains, because it's a hurtful process. You are not going to enter this journey and expect that it will be just fun. It will not. But you have a mission. Remember, you have the why. So you have to stick to that and have faith that you're having to put something that is important in the world, and that's your mission. So I always say, when things start to get complicated or overwhelming, think in your diary, how am I going to unemploy myself today? This is a very important question. It teaches about delegation. What am I doing? Because at the beginning, you will be doing everything and you will get very busy. So start consciously unemploying yourself with help. Generally, as studies say, or for media entrepreneurship, the main pain point that journalists face is that they try to do everything. They might get grants and they might get lost because they start doing things that, if they're an NGO, donors want, or if you're for profit, the audience wants. And that sometimes gets you lost. So that's why you have to understand what you need early on to unemploy yourself. Where am I going to unemploy myself first? And evidence says that in general, the best area for you to unemploy yourself is selling. If you get an ally who can, if you can structure a product and have someone else to sell, to be your commercial side, you will be in a better position after 1 year or two. If you start doing it alone or with people that are like yourself, you may be in a very difficult position. It's very common that people start with other fellow journalists or designers or photographers, or even technical people, people with technology background, and they forget, they build a product and they forget the commercial side. And for commercial side, I speak about nonprofits as well, because you will have to keep getting donations and, you know, doing crowdfunding, all the commercial activities and all the promotion activities that are the same if you are for profit or nonprofits. So if you see that you don't have this person of this kind or this kind of ally, look for it right away. It will be of great help. And how, and you can think, oh, but I don't have any money. How can I do this? Well, what I saw during the years is that you have to look for people that don't have your skills, and maybe you exchange skills, okay? Because think, where can be a journalist more useful? With 99 journalists or with 99 engineers? Who needs more a journalist? 99 engineers trying to do something or 99 journalists? Of course, the engineers don't have your skills and they might need your skills for something. So try to find people that are different from you and try to exchange guidance and help to see if you can, it can guide you to a place that is more, let's say, comfortable in your journey to structure your commercial side. The other, I don't know, how am I about time, Paul? 5 minutes. Yeah, I could imagine that. So then I will just concentrate in talking about something that is crucial for your mission, for what you want to do, for your media venture. Take care of yourself. You are the co-creator of this project. You may think you are the creator, but you're just the co-creator. And it's very important to understand that you're doing this with other people. It's not about your idea. It's not about what you're doing. You're just at service. Remember that. Journalists are very motivated by ego. We don't like to talk about that, but we work for all those beautiful prizes, right? So let's understand that when you become an entrepreneur, you're just having to work your ego and sometimes let it aside to serve a better purpose, to serve a bigger mission, let's put it that way. Because if you're going and if you're longing for this reconnection that entrepreneurship can bring you, then you might be able to create something bigger than you. Because if you're wanting to become an entrepreneur, you want to be doing something bigger than you, sometimes bigger than the story that you can write or film or, you know, photograph. So take care of yourself. It's very important to love yourself every day, because if you do that, you can have the faith and trust to keep going, even when adversity comes in. Because if you don't take care of your physical, mental, and emotional health, you know, be together with friends and family, you will not be able to build resilience. And the entrepreneurial journey is very important that you cultivate resilience, because you will make mistakes every day. Things will be a roller coaster every day, and it will be even more intense than writing a difficult story or researching data or trying to go through files. It requires self-consciousness to a level that many journalists don't exercise every day. Because it's not needed, because as a journalist, you're giving voice to others, and you're being like a vessel, a transmission of a message that is about reality and what's going on in the world. But here, you're creating a reality. So take care of yourself, enjoy the journey, you know, connect to yourself, create your diary, and have joy every day. Try to create moments of joy and quiet moments so that you can rest, because the monkeys in our head get very busy when we're building something that is bigger than us and that require other people to be around us, because we need to inspire them. We need to be around them, and we need to create and develop talent and leadership. That's also a mission of entrepreneurship. And that's what I have to say. I don't think I have a lot of much more time, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm open if you have questions. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you very much, Adriana. Thank you very much for those insights. We have a lot to do today, so please, if you have questions, signify by raising up your hand. We can still go live if you have any question. Beryl would like to know the name of the book you mentioned earlier. Can you quickly answer that? Adriana, the name of the book you mentioned.
The Lean Startup.
The Lean Startup. Okay. I'm not seeing, while we wait for more questions, can you just take 2 minutes to catch your breath? And we also like to go back now to our participants to know more about where you are, and probably our additional speakers that just joined us would have a better idea of who you are. So you look at your screen right now and you have a couple questions that are coming up. The first one is this. I'd like to know whether this is your first ICFJ webinar that you're attending. Please, yes or no. We'd like to, while you do that, while you answer that, I would like to introduce our new additional guest that joined us during the talk. We are joined by Talaha Ahad, who is the founder and CEO of the Central Media. Central Media is Pakistan's first digital news network, and is Pakistan's first digital news network. He's a multimedia journalist, storyteller, and documentary filmmaker who is experienced in documenting conflict, crises, and key social issues. Can you quickly say hi to our participants, Salaha?
Hi, Paul. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. Really nice to meet you all, and looking forward to having this conversation.
Yes, thank you very much. So quick looking at the results, 64% of our participants today are joining us for the first time. So thank you very much for joining us. And 39% already have a media venture of their own, 39%, while 45% are planning to start their own media entrepreneurship. Thank you for that. 84% of our participants said they are practicing journalists, while 16% said they are not practicing journalists. So quick question, Adrian, is it a law that anybody starting a media entrepreneurship project must be a journalist?
No, anyone having a clear vision about a message or an audience that you want to attend can be a media entrepreneur. Definitely, from the design perspective, design thinking was created to attend user needs, be it products or services. So when you think about services, you're creating a product based on user needs. And that's what entrepreneur does. It fills needs of market sections or groups. So you're looking to put yourself at service to create products to fulfill other people's needs. And those needs might be informational. So you don't need to be a journalist.
Okay, thank you. The last question that we had is whether you are already a member of our forum group, and nearly 60% said no. So Stella, please kindly help me put the link to our Facebook forum page so that they can be part of the forum we are having. In addition to Talaha, who joined us, we are also joined by Jean Paholo Hakado. In my mind, I think I didn't pronounce it that well. So please, can you help me with the correct pronunciation and kindly forgive me?
No, it's fine. It's Gianpaolo Accardo. It's an Italian name.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you for the amazing work you do at Vox Europe. So please, let me quickly see if we have any question For Adriana, yes, quick question. Do you still need a salesperson when your product is a newsletter or a YouTube channel? And what should be their target?
No, you don't need ideally a salesperson for a product that you will be selling digitally, but you still have to have a plan or talk to someone from marketing or study it yourself, but you will need to create call to actions to make people interact with your newsletter if that's your product. So you have to think not only about how you will connect and talk to your audience to learn from them, to know what you have to do in terms of content even, but you will have to think about a call to actions that will bring you support. And that you can learn by yourself, studying marketing. You can learn that with partnerships. You can learn that with someone that will help you, that is from digital marketing, for example. It's just the commercial entity can be anything, be it a tool, be it person, be it another company that will help you for free, or someone that can guide you to think about that, because most of the journalists will do a newsletter and forget to ask either feedback to iterate or design call to action so that they can be paid for their work, for example.
Yes, thank you very much. One last question. Is there a community where journalists can hook up with partners, not just journalists, but for journalistic projects?
Well, there are incubators where people can apply with projects. There are many different ones around the world. Even platforms have their programs to foster entrepreneurship and to foster digital skills. You can just look for their areas in their websites because they do have programs for that. There is not a global community for people to join people from other fields, which I think is very important, because if there are people that want to become entrepreneurs in media, but they are not journalists, it would be very helpful for them to be together. So I think it's a very important question. I always thought that bringing engineers and designers and marketeers and journalists together to form teams would be an ideal, a sweet spot to foster more media entrepreneurship.
Yeah, one last question. Sorry, guys, we have a lot of speakers. I'm currently migrating from a physical newspaper to digital online publication. However, it is still very difficult to convince the market to advertise online as they have been advertising on print. So how do you go about this?
Yeah, as I said, everybody thinks that digital is easy, but digital is very expensive because it requires a lot of different skill sets. And it requires a lot of promotion because you're out there in the ecosystem and everybody's speaking. It's a very crowded square. So I would say, make it smaller, try to find a very specific audience that you will be serving and get direct feedback from that audience and grow from there. Think about what is the low-hanging fruit that you have at the moment. That's where you have to start. From this audience, going to digital, who are the brand lovers that you have? You may have some brand lovers that are with you. Ask for their help to get feedback so you can inform yourself about what they love about the project and grow from there, and ask their help and see if you can make the insights that you get bigger. And this is something very important that I forgot to say. Trust your gut. Everybody thinks that entrepreneurship is something very planned and very rational or very passionate, but it takes a lot of gut, intuition. And in journalism, we use the gut every time when we do a title, when we, think about an angle. We do have this intuition within ourselves. Just keep using it by interacting with the audience.
Thank you very much, Adriana. Catch some breath and let's go to part 2 of what we intend to do today, which is to engage actively with media entrepreneurs that are really, really good and impressive. For me, some of your projects are quite humbling, considering the achievements that you've had. I would like to start with Miriam, who is a co-founder and executive director of OC Media. Miriam has a presentation for us. So while she displays that, please, your questions are still going to be answered, and we just wanted to learn from the experience. The third part is they would also like to hear your own ideas. We have a $200 grant entrepreneurship idea. So if you would like to participate, just indicate and we'll be good going to that. So Miriam, are you ready?
Yes. 1 second. Let me share the screen. How is it? Do you see my screen? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hi, again, I'm Mariam Niguradze.
Yes, it's showing. Great.
Great. You hear me also, right? Just cool. I'm Mariam Niguradze. I was born and I'm still based in Georgia, which is in the Caucasus. Before I start my presentation, I'll tell you 2 words about me. I've always been a journalist for the past 13 years. I've never done anything else in my life. I'm running a media organization, but I still go and cover the major events that is going on in the region because I love journalism. And I think it's very important to be passionate about journalism to do it, because in the region, especially like the Caucasus, it's not a profession where you can earn a lot of money, but you do it kind of for the values and so on. So the media outlet I'm representing and co-founded is called Open Caucasus Media. Or shortly OC Media. OC Media is an online, it's a website basically based in Tbilisi, which covers North and South Caucasus. So what we do is we do regular publishing on the website. We also have partners about which I will be talking later. We have a weekly newsletter, which is written by our staff writers who are reflecting about different kinds of events that is going on in the Caucasus. It's something that can't be found on the website, but it's an exclusive content for the newsletter. Then we have a monthly newsletter for our individual donors who support us via PayPal or Patreon. This newsletter provides kind of a behind the scenes of OC Media, what are we planning or what problems we are having, or if sometimes we ask for their feedback, what they think about our activities and so on. We just recently launched a podcast where our editor-in-chief again sits down with our staff writers or invited guests to give broader context of the ongoing events or some problematic issues in the region. And sometimes, not very often, but we also provide journalistic trainings, but this is not like a regular thing that we do. We have done it twice in the past and we want to do it in the future, but it's just very time consuming, also requires finances. But we love doing it, so probably it will happen in the future too. So this is where I am and what we are covering. Basically, we cover Armenia, Georgia, and Azerbaijan in the South Caucasus, including the disputed territories, Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and Nagorno-Karabakh. It's like very hot so to say, area, because there are some frozen or ongoing conflicts here. And just recently, like yesterday, there was basically a 2-day war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, as Azerbaijan kind of attacked Armenia. And yeah, this is the region we live in. It's very often, like 2 years ago, there was a full-scale 44-day war in Nagorno-Karabakh. Yeah, so it's quite like hotspot to report about. And then we also have Russia's North Caucasus. So these are several republics of the North Caucasus that we cover. It's very difficult to find journalists on the spot, especially in the republics like Chechnya or Ingushetia, because it's dangerous to be a journalist. If you find someone, usually they don't write under their real names. Usually they cover their names. And in the past, we used to have a staff writer actually based in Chechnya, and we had to evacuate them because they were discovered by the local authorities that they were working for us, and they couldn't stay because it was dangerous for them. Yeah, so this is our mission and our values. I put it here because I will. At the end, I kind of put together some kind of recommendations, what you have to take in mind when you're starting your own media outlet. It's very important to have an identity. So if you are a small media outlet, I'm not like if you're covering everything and everywhere, it's kind of different. But like if you're a new startup, it's very important to have an identity, because people kind of, start following you and liking you and loving you for who you are and what values you have. And it's important to make sure that it's out there and you promote it as much as possible. So our mission is to provide, obviously, honest reporting in the Caucasus, and we strive to empower progressive voices in the region to bring upon democratic change driven by the spirit of solidarity and social justice. You see what our values are here, and it's very important for us to also work with the team who shares those values, and not only just team, but the donors who fund us or organizations that we cooperate with. It's very important that we share these values with all of them. So, as I said before, we have partnerships. So, the main outlet of our reporting is our website, and on our website we publish only in English. But at the same time, so when OC Media started, we used to publish in 2 languages. It was English and Russian. But after several years, we discovered that we knew that our Russian language was not doing as good as English. We experimented a lot, and this is also very important to make painful decisions, learning on your experiences. And we made a painful decision to basically shut down the Russian service because it was taking half of our resources, but was not bringing even half of the readers that the English website was bringing. So we had to think about new ideas, how we could substitute the audience that we thought was there for the Russian language. And we came up with the idea to partner up with the local media outlets in the region. So we currently have 5 partners in the South Caucasus, which are based in different countries. Like there is 3 in Georgia, 1 publishes in Georgian, another one in Russian, another one in Armenian and Russian. Then we have a partner in Armenia and then one in Azerbaijan. And what they do is they republish selected stories that they like, that we publish, and translate it into their own language. So what this gives is, it gives them like content, exclusive content that they cannot produce themselves. For example, because Armenia, Azerbaijan are at conflict with each other, like Armenian outlets are not able to produce fact-checked quality news or articles about Azerbaijan and vice versa. But we have journalists in both places, and this is usually what they republish, our content that they cannot produce themselves. And we also pay a little bit of fee to them for the translation, because they are small media. It's a financial, how to say, a small reward for them, and the motivation to translate. And to give you the idea, through the partners, we have about 40 articles a month translated into the 4 different languages of the Caucasus. Who are our readers? So for partnerships, through partnerships, we reach basically local on the audiences throughout the Caucasus. And as for English, it's limited audience, but like it's very important audience, because we believe it helps to achieve some kind of impact and positive change, democratic change in the Caucasus, because it's diplomats, it's international human rights organizations, it's international governments. And I know this because we constantly receive feedback from these people that they read us and they find our reporting important, and so on. This is our team. It's very small. We have 13 people in the team in total, and it's very diverse. There are some people from Georgia, Armenia, Azerbaijan. We have editor-in-chief is from Wales. Dominic, the co-founder, and my colleague, he's from Poland. We also have a person based in the breakaway region, Abkhazia, but we can't say her name because it's dangerous for her, so she's not listed here. And the accountant is also missing, but this is the entire team. Unfortunately, we don't even have a social media manager, and as Adriana was talking, it's very hard, but we do a lot of things ourselves, and we try to, divide responsibilities, not to burn out, but sometimes it's very hard. So now I'll talk about how we pulled OSI Media off. Basically, before founding OSI Media, I was working at a local Georgia-based online newspaper, which was only covering Georgia, and Dominic was my colleague and co-founder, was also working there with me, and we were very unhappy there for many reasons. Horrible labor rights, we were exploited there, but also we didn't like the way our editors saw how the news should have been reported. Basically what happened was, not only to us, but like to most of the media outlets in the region, when social media came broader in our lives, like this digital era, so to say, really affected the daily journalism. So if when I was still coming to the journalism in 2009 or 10, it was so that when something was happening, you would go into the regions, you would talk with people, investigate what was going on, and then produce like a long, interesting article about the event. But unfortunately, very soon, because of having the opportunity to go live from the Facebook and so on, editors started to, save resources on sending journalists on the spot, but they just told them to call on the phone and write short news from the office, basically. And what it resulted in was that if you would go to the 5 big media outlets on the front page, you would find 20 news that are completely the same. They are short, no context, no background. It's just basically 2 paragraphs impossible to understand what's going on. And this was what I hated, and I wanted to have a media outlet that would provide actually a fact check, well context with proper background, well researched articles on what's going on in the Caucasus. And Dominic also had this idea that the North Caucasus was not covered in English language properly. So we somehow merged our ideas together. We quit our job in 2016, and we started working to put down our idea on the paper. And it was, I think, November 2016 when we spoke with our colleague who was running another pan-Caucasus media outlet, our friend in the region. And she said she could help us out to get the pilot funding. Basically, in a week after we shared this idea with her, she got this founding capital of £35,000 from the UK embassy, because they loved the idea that we had, and they said they would be happy to invest it to launch the project. So how we launched it was that this organization that our friend was working, she first submitted the project under her NGO, which is how we got this pilot grant. But then after several months, we basically separated from this NGO and founded our own. So we are currently a non-profit NGO, and we are applying for our own grants on our own. So we launched in January 2017, basically months and a half after we got the idea to make the media project. And it was crazy. It was very time consuming. We had to make a website, to find an office, to hire people, to prepare stories for launching, but somehow it worked out. As you all may already understand, is a majority of our funding comes from donors. Basically 98% of our funding comes from donors, but it's not an easy thing to be depending on donors. And we learned our lesson in the very, very beginning of starting, because soon after the pilot was ending, the British embassy said that their priorities was changing and they couldn't continue funding us. And we experienced basically a 3 months funding gap where we couldn't even pay salaries to our employees. But luckily, we learned how to fundraise. We started reaching out to the different donors, and in the end, European Endowment for Democracy, which usually helps small media organizations in emergency situations with emergency grants. So this is how we were saved back then. And then soon other organizations started to help out. In the corner, you see this pie chart. This is something which is published also on our website. We are trying to be as transparent as possible where our money comes from. And this is how it looks. But it didn't end actually there, because in 2020, when pandemic just was starting, we had a core funding from Thomson Reuters Foundation, and they all of a sudden, out of blue, told us that were going to stop funding us. And this was very unexpected for us. Imagine in the middle of the pandemic losing the funding. But back then, having learned this lesson in 2017, we quickly just reached out to all the donors we have ever worked with and told them that we had the situation. And basically what happened, and what we still do up to this day, is that we don't have a core funding, but we have several different projects which basically fund us media as a big puzzle. So remember how Adriana was saying that very often journalists start to do things for the projects of their funding. So this was the trap that we may have fallen in, but we didn't. So we decided to convince donors that like this project-based funding doesn't work for media. For example, grants like producing 20 articles about queer rights in the Caucasus. Like no one will read 20 articles in 1 month about queer issues. And we're trying to explain how media works to them and that they can be part of this bigger project and co-fund this project that we have. And in 2020, with this strategy, we actually worked with, I think, 13 donors, which was insane. It was very difficult to work on all these projects, but it actually saved us, and it gave us long-term stability and sustainability. And this is how we continue. Currently, we have like 5 donors that co-fund different components of OC Media. We also have, how much time do I have? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot.
I was just about to send that message to you.
I'll try to like finish very soon. 5 minutes?
2.
2. Oh, okay. Then very quickly. Oh my God. Okay, so we also have monthly donors, as I mentioned, which we launched shortly when the pandemic started. So we never promoted it. It's just on the website. I put the screenshots you see now, but they already consist about 2% or more of our yearly revenue, and we want to somehow push it more. These are from PayPal and Patreon. Usually they are coming from Twitter for some reason, and they are not local. They are our international readers. And our main challenge is how to convert our committed readers into supporters. This is something that is our main goal at the moment in terms of like funding, financing, and revenue. And this is how we came to ICFJ, which brought me to this conference here. And ICFJ is actually helping us to resolve this question. And currently we are working with this individual mentors who help us to come up with a plan how to achieve this goal and how to make our individual supporters and members happier and increase it. And in the end, I put together some little recommendations. When you start, I think it's very important to think about these questions along with the other questions, but it's very important to think about what is your niche and how different you are from others, because nowadays it's very difficult, like having millions and millions of media outlets, to start your own and attract the audience. So it's very important to have your identity and also think about who will be your audience and why will be reading you. And then this will help you to like form your pitch to the potential donors or investors, clients, or however you plan your business and what kind of income will you have. That's it. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Adriana has been doing, there are lots of questions for you, Miriam. So what I think you should do is go to the chat box and the Q&A section and attend to as many questions as you can. So those that have asked questions, be looking at the chat and the Q&A options, and Miriam will be addressing those really, really good questions that you have. So next, I would like to go to learn the experience at Vox Europe. And Jean is ready for us to share this journey and give us more insight and tips. We want as many individuals, media entrepreneurs on this call to succeed. So tell us your story.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll try to share my screen, which usually I can't succeed in doing. Let me try.
Okay, while you do that.
Does it work now?
I think Miriam should answer one question live before going to the rabbit hole of the chat box. And the question I think you can ask is this, or you can answer is, there is a question about the growth of your company. What can you share about your team growth? Did your team, Kimberly would like to know, did your team grow over the years, and how large were you when you first started?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, it's smaller. when we started, we had, I think, 16 people. Now we have 13, but it happened because of shutting down the Russian service that I was talking in the beginning. It's like, okay. I mean, we did learn how to fundraise, but again, like it's difficult to have a budget for a giant team. And you need to, optimize as much as possible and use your resources as efficiently as possible. One thing, however, I really want to add to our team is social media person, because it's really difficult working without social. Okay. I mean, we distributed the responsibilities among us ourselves, but obviously it's not the best because you need to plan the whole strategy of the social media. This can't be long-term decision. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. So start typing away, lots of questions for you. And Jean, we are ready. Is your mic off?
Yeah, no, it's on. But I can't. For a moment, I couldn't hear you, but now it's working.
Oh, okay, so, great. Over to you.
I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so hi, nice to see you all. I'm quite thrilled of being here with such an audience, and thanks for hosting us. So as you see, Vox Europe is the media I co-founded in 2014 along with a bunch of colleagues from other journalistic experience. Is a media that runs independent European journalism, so it's independent, meaning that we don't have an external publisher. We own our media, and it's independently funded. It's European, meaning that we try to cover the whole of Europe as such, not only the European Union, but we try to go from what we say from Portugal to the Ural, and from Iceland to Cyprus and even the Caucasus. We do it not only by ourselves, but also with some media partners. It's a small team. We are 7 permanent people, but then we work with a lot of translators and freelance journalists. Actually, we work with more than 50 translators and more than 25 freelancers all around Europe who are producing original stories for us. But we also publish syndicated content. By syndicated content, I mean we are publishing stories that have been published by our partners, and we translate them into the 5 languages in which we are published, meaning English, French, Italian, Spanish, and German. I am not very good at making scrolling stuff while I'm speaking, so I'll have to stop and think. Yeah, so there you see a bit of figures about our media. We are run by a non-profit cooperative, non-profit because we are mission-driven, and it's a cooperative, meaning that the people who are working at Vox Europe also own the company. We have like 112 shareholders. Among them, there's of course the team, most of the journalists and the translators who work for us, but also some of our media partners are also shareholders, and then there are people who want to support us that way. Okay, so here is our manifesto where we say basically what we are. We want to provide reliable, independent, and quality news on the issues that matters to European. We have basically 5 main topics, which are the climate crisis and the environment, equality, and social issues, injustices, democracy, individual and digital freedom. And we want to promote a better understanding of Europe among Europeans, because we have noticed that Europeans, although they know quite well their country and they know that they're living in the same basically political and geographical environment, tend not to know very well each other. So we are, okay, now we go to the the structure of the company. As I said, it's a cooperative owned by, okay, this data is a bit old. We are 112, as I said. We are also part of several networks of European media, like the European Data Journalism Network, which focuses on data journalism. But we are also a partner of the European Center for Press and Media Freedom, the Association of European Journalists, and a member of other networks like Eurozine and Covering Climate Now. We won a couple of awards some time ago, but this is not what we focus much on currently. Here you can see the type of reports that we are providing. I will show you the website a bit later. We're in 5 languages, as I said, and we provide with in-depth analysis, but also debate and ideas, stories on the future and the current affairs within Europe. And I would like to share another screen now, but let me see how to do this. Yes. So this is our website. Can you see it? You can nod if it's the case.
Yes, we can see. We can see.
Okay, okay. So this is our website. You can see the URL above it. I invite you to have a look at it. So I want to say a few words on our business model, because maybe this is probably what interests the most here. So it's based basically on 4 pillars. One is membership. We are membership-based website in a sense that some of our content is only for members. As you can see, it's when it's a V Club on it, it means that it's for members only. And we also have some activities for members, like online live events, or they have specific newsletters for them. And we invite also them to events organized by our partners, like festivals or online events, or even live events when they happen in some cities. Then we have small donations also from readers, but it's really a tiny part of it. We take part in EU and privately funded projects, be it projects for production, like foundations who are delivering grants for specific editorial projects, investigations, or series of articles, for example, or EU tenders that would fund collaborative projects with other media or other actors of the media landscape in Europe. And we also, and this is a consistent part of our budget, we also provide services to third parties. We are specialized in translations for the media and for NGOs, and also for our funders, meaning that they come to us when they need to translate some of their be it content or communication material. They come to us, and then we translate it, or we do what's called some copy editing for them. It's basically translation and editorial products for our partners, and it's a way for us to, of course, have a revenue, but also to make our to give work to our not our members, but our shareholders. So translators who are also shareholders of Vox Europe get work through our services provided. the services that we provide. What can I say more? Well, we were very happy of being selected for the Elevate project because it helped us to strengthen our business model, also to focus on our SEO, which wasn't really doing very well, also to focus on our audience and our mission, and help us to strengthen our relationship with our readers and our members, because when you're membership driven, it's better to have a good relationship with your members and to nurture the community and to try to build a strong bond, because this way, when you're in trouble, you can reach out to your community for help, for support, be it financial or also for contacts with other possible funders. And also it's a community on which we want to build, we want to call them our ambassadors, because every member can bring in new members if they are happy and if they know how to let's say, how to promote and to advertise what you're doing. In terms of recommendations, I would subscribe to all the recommendations that Miriam did earlier. Maybe what I can add is be very clear on what is your mission and what your identity is, because the media landscape, whatever your market is very crowded, and if you want to stand out, you have to have a very clear identity. And this is also something that that took us quite some time to focus on. If you are in a niche, it's very good. You don't expect to have a very large audience, but that audience, you have to really focus on it and nurture it, and be like laser focus on it, and build a model and a product that fits that niche. And the last recommendation might be maybe if you can get your audience and your subscribers or your members on board by asking them how they can contribute, if they are willing to, of course, with their expertise, with their experience, with their skills, with their time. It's always, I mean, some of them are happy to contribute because then they feel they're part of the project and they really feel committed to it, which can bring to a lot of satisfaction. It's beyond the editorial, it's more human and community-based. And I'd be happy to answer to questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, as always. And that was also a terrific presentation. And can you stop sharing the screen? Now,
stop sharing my screen. You do it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
No, I think you have to stop on your hand. Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will also send you to the chat area to answer as many questions as you can. Go to the chat area and the Q&A section, answer as many questions as you can. But every participant, yet we have an extensive panel of Q&A. The real Q&A session is still coming that have engaged everybody. And the last but not the least, we have Talha, who is the founder and CEO of Pakistan's first digital news network, the Central Media. And like I said, he's a multimedia journalist, storyteller, and maker that is experienced in documenting conflicts, crises, and key social issues. He has trained a team of journalists around Pakistan who have produced over 7,000 video stories, and many of which have gone viral and received over 10 million views, making TCN a national leader in effective online engagement strategies. And they currently have over 30 million users per month across the social platforms. So Talha, the floor is yours. Impress our audience and guide them to success.
Thank you very much. So I'll quickly share my screen and share a brief presentation, and then I think it would be great if we can just go ahead with the more question and answers. So, I'll introduce myself. So my name is Talha, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Centrum Media. We started back in 2016. Before that, I was a journalist working for international news outlets like Now This, BBC, Al Jazeera, and a few other similar sort of organizations. So right now we have 4 different companies under TCM Group. So one is the platform. We were all talking about monetization. So that's how we sort of figure it out, how we can do the monetization. So we started Centrum Communications, TCM Studios, and TCM Academy. These are some of the services as a whole group, which we give to different commercial organizations, development organizations, to media organizations as well, to the startups. So mostly the strategic communication work, creative concept designs, full service video production, digital media strategy, analytics, and training on the virality of the content, and digital media marketing and distribution, and digital media trainings as well to the newsrooms and to the development organizations. These are some of the clients which we have worked. Some of them are international news outlets, some of them are like development sector, and some are like local commercial brands. The TCM is basically, so a lot of people ask me like, what is TCM? Because when you go on to the platform, you don't see a traditional news breaking organization. So essentially now how we sort of explain ourselves is that we are not a breaking news organization. What we do essentially is to give context around the news. So why I started TCM, I was in UK, I studied journalism from there. And in the media in Pakistan, I feel like at that time and now is very polarized. So either you are extreme rightist or extreme leftist. So there is not a sort of a middle ground for the media organizations and for the people as well who wanted to get that information. So our aim was to disrupt the whole sort of mainstream ecosystem, bringing mainly the contextual and the very centrist sort of news to our audience, so then they can have better life choices. What we do, so we highlight visual, basically political, social interest, human interest stories, and the aim is to basically challenge the status quo in a sense with our reporting. So we are the only organization in Asia who are producing only video content. So we don't do articles, we don't do blogs, we don't do graphics or anything. We are only producing videos in the last sort of 6 years. So these are some of our platforms. We have one centralized page, and then we have TCM Entertainment, we have TCM Originals, TCM Politics, and now we are moving into TCM Business and Lifestyle. Same on Instagram as well, on Twitter. So roughly we have 2.3 million followers. This slide is a little bit old. We have roughly 20 to 25 million users per month, mainly on the social accounts. We don't focus on website a lot because in Pakistan, people don't go to website to find stories. We have roughly produced more than 6,000 videos in the last sort of 6.5 years, and more than roughly 400 to 500 videos for the brands. You can see the reach here. This is one of the screenshots from one of our Facebook account. These are some of the stories which we did. It's a mix of national and international stories. As an example, the first one on the left was the Pulwama attack. This is like more about Pakistan, India, and then some of them are current affairs, some of them are like highly political stories, and some of them are like soft stories as well. These are some of the branded stories which we did with the different brands. This was with the British High Commission we did. This was with one of our local batteries brand. They were supporting cricket in Pakistan. So we worked with them. This is for the European Union. And these are some of the documentaries, like slightly in-depth long-form content, which we did. So what we do right now is, this is our audience sort of persona, you can say. A lot of them resonate with the Al Jazeera, BBC, Urdu, and English. And these are some of our local sort of players. I'll quickly skim through so we can go into more into the questions. Like we have been mentioned regularly by the politician, by the celebrities, and share our content regularly on their Facebook pages, and and the actresses with a really high sort of followership. These are some of our shows. These are some of our exclusive shows. So before going into this, so when we started back in end of 2016, 2017, early 2017, we started with a small infographic videos. So like a Now This or AJ Plus style. And then we moved into different sort of content verticals. What my other colleagues were mentioning, that we started like very small, and then we sort of studied the market and see like what's missing. So now we have roughly 6 to 8 different verticals of the content. So one are the contextual stories, one are historical pieces, one is TCM Explains. Basically, TCM Explains is like quite viral these days and performing really well, because over there, what we essentially do is we bring an expert who basically explain a very sort of difficult topics or very boring topics, I'd say, in a very easy, simple way. So people can understand what exactly is the problem. And then these are some of our exclusive series. So as an example, like this story of a newsbreaker. So Hamid Mir is like one of the very famous national and international journalists from Pakistan. So this was like more of a digital memoir series, which we did with him. And then this was with the transgender Naked Truth, talking about the society's problem in a very raw and a conversational way. This is like one of the most watched shows in Pakistan on digital. This was Unboxing Pakistan, again, Pakistan's first ever political podcast, which we did. We interviewed Prime Minister Imran Khan just a few months back, and then other sort of politicians. And same, the other series, like this was with the bureaucrats, then we did with the judges. These are with the army officers who fought like battles of 65 and 71. And then we also did a series on Guantanamo Bay prisoners last year after the fall of Kabul. Today, we just released, I was just actually watching a very, very exclusive series with the drone survivors of Pakistan. So the whole war of, in the last sort of 15 years, like right now, no one is talking about the drone survivors. Everyone is talking about the fall of Kabul and, like the Americans and the like general like stuff, but people who have suffered and their stories was never ever came on media. So we got exclusive access to Waziristan and we traveled there. So today was our sort of first episode. You can go to our channel, TCM Originals. So over there we host mostly the exclusive long form content. So how now we are monetizing? What we did like roughly 4 years back was we launched another company, which is Centrum Communications. Over there, what we essentially do is we run and make human-centric communication campaigns for different clients. So that's how we are trying to support ourselves. So all of our expertise, which we gathered on TCM, now we are giving them as services. These are some of our clients where we work, who we like support and work with on a regular basis. Then we also launched TCM Studios, which is a production company. We are working with the local channels. We are working with the international news channels like Vice, Now This, Al Jazeera, BBC, and with some of the commercial partners as well. We launched Shoaib Akhtar. He's, I don't know how much you guys are a fan of cricket. He's one of the most fastest cricketer, like a bowler from Pakistan. So we launched him on YouTube a couple of years back. And YouTube then did a case study on him because this is the fastest, at least in Asia, 1 million subscribers in a month, especially in this sort of vertical. And there's a case study on YouTube. And then it's a TCM Academy where we now sort of helping NGOs, journalists, like mainly the development sector on digital, because digital is rising all over the world, but in Pakistan, it's still very new and people don't know much about, how to sort of reach to the younger sort of demographics and the younger audiences. Yeah, so this is like a rough sort of an overview. But if there is like any specific sort of question, I would be happy to answer. The only like sort of one or two things, I think what Adriana and Mariam was saying, when I started, I had a zero background in media. I didn't even know what entrepreneurship is, like what is monetization, what is even break even. Like, I just like came to know about this word roughly like 3 years back. I was sitting somewhere with like few like traditional entrepreneurs, and they asked me like, okay, are you guys on break even? I was little bit confused. I was like, I'm so sorry, but like, can you explain me what does that mean? Does it mean like the money which I sort of invested is returned, or like are we taking care of our expenses on our own? Like what does it, so it's just like a new sort of thing every single day which you learn. My background was a hardcore sort of journalism and documentary filmmaking, and then like later on, I think you are more of a one-man band army, whether you have funding or whether you don't have funding. So, but you need to learn all of the skills. As an example, if you have like a huge grant, and then you're hiring, let's say, accounts people, marketing people, communications people, like social media manager, editors, and this and that. But if you don't know all of those things, at least like a basic level of understanding, like it would be really difficult to sort of operate the whole thing. So as an entrepreneur, I think I feel like this is like more of a 360 sort of a thing where you need to know every single thing. And then when you have an expert, then you can sort of work with them much, much better. And I think another thing, again, which my colleagues have already mentioned, is a lot of times, because in Pakistan, I feel like every single year and every few months, I see a new digital platforms emerging, sometimes in the news genre, sometimes in the entertainment, sometimes lifestyle. And people are like so sort of attached with the idea that if it's not working as well, like they will not like sort of change the model. And they're just like spending money and money and money. And then in the end of the day, like, that this is not something which is visible in a long, long run. So I think it's very, very important to sort of look at it, digest like what people are saying, what's working, what's not working, experiment a lot. That is the most important thing. This is what we did. We started with a small 2-minute content. I would have never ever thought that we would be making like a long form series of 20-30 minutes. Because at that time, like I was also saying, no, like these days, no one will watch like a long form content. People just only watch 40 seconds, 1 minute. But on one of our YouTube channel, like the average completion rate is 80% of the videos, which are roughly 20 to 30 minutes long. So there is a market. You just need to find, I think, that market and then serve them. And I think the biggest sort of learning or the knowledge is on Google. Like, of course, you need mentors. Of course, you need like all of the people, but there is so much free stuff available that you cannot even think about it. Because I remember in my initial days, like I worked from 8 to 6 p.m., 8 p.m. And then I come home, I was literally Googling like, what is Al Jazeera business model? What is Vice business model? What is now this business model? How they are doing this, how they are doing this. So it's like literally as simple as it is. There is no science. Like right now as well, like after 6.5 years with a team of 30 to 35 full-time employees, I'm still like literally like yesterday I was looking, what is the workflow of now this, and then I came across like few set of talks, and then you just like pick and choose stuff from there. So because I think with the digital, there is no formula, like whether it's entrepreneurship, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Because my light just, I think, gone. So, okay. So yeah, there is no formula of digital. I feel like everyone has their own, I think, formula, because right now, like, a lot of times I personally feel like, okay, like we want to copy like this brand, or we want to copy them, like how they are doing. But to be honest, in the end of the day, This is the beauty of the beauty of digital, and probably the worst thing, because there is no such thing which you can copy and you will be successful. So you will have your own path in life, in the digital, in the entrepreneurship, and the things which will work for you may not work for other people, and the things which are working for them might not work for you. So this is all about experiment. Coming back to why you started, what do you want to achieve, what's working, what's not working, listening to the audiences. That is the biggest thing. Like if you're producing like fantastic reports or whatever, but if people are not watching and reading, there is some problem. Maybe you are serving it to the wrong audiences. So these are some of my sort of, I think, tips, and I'm happy to, I think, check the questions maybe.
Thank you very much. Another very, very impressively useful and encouraging, motivating, inspiring a project. So thank you very much for that and your team. While you catch your breath, to the audience, it's now time. So I want you to tell me in the chat box what is this major thing you are taking home from this session. The participants, please, everybody that participated, that is part of this, I want you to, is your form of overview, what's your take-home message from this, and how do you intend to apply it? I'm waiting for your messages. And Talha, you too can go to the chat box and see how many questions, and to the Q&A section, how many questions you can answer. And so please, audience, let me know what is your take-home message and how do you plan to apply it. So one question that I want to ask everybody on this panel is this. Looking back, what is one thing that you think you could have done differently? Probably that you think our audience that are on this journey should avoid. What is one thing you would have done differently? I'll start with with Vox Europe. Are you with us? Or let me go to OC Media. Miriam, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. It's a difficult question. I don't know if I would actually change anything, because we kind of learned a lot from our experiences and making the mistakes we did, because otherwise we wouldn't know things we learned. For example, we wouldn't know information that we got about the Russian-speaking audiences before we tried to reach them, right? So we would probably think that it was a mistake not to try it. So I don't think I regret anything. I think it's very important to learn on the mistakes and to be brave enough to make difficult decisions based on those mistakes and lessons.
Can I jump in?
You're muted, Paul, I think.
Oh, I was talking to myself. Yes, please.
Okay. I would have focused more on the business side, definitely. Because we've been working for too long on our own resources. I mean, on our own savings and all kind of benefits that we could have used to, let's say, to bootstrap at the beginning, and being only a team of journalists. As Adriana said earlier, having some people dealing with the business side of the company is essential and should come at the beginning. If you only have journalists running a media from the start, my experience is that it doesn't work, and you will end up ruining yourself, and that's not the purpose of running a media. So hiring someone who will take care of the business is essential. You provide with the editorial ideas, the contacts, whatever, but you need someone who takes care of the business side. Otherwise, you'll end up selling your house.
Yeah, so I'll ask these two questions, and I want everybody to jump up right in and answer it in your own way. Would you say for someone that's starting to that is trying to start? I'm trying to modify Cotello's question that goes directly to Talha, and Talha, you can check it out if you want to give specific answers. Would you recommend conducting extensive research first before launching the project, or is it something would you recommend improving as you go? Then the second question that I think anybody can also jump on is from Browning Jones. Will you consider advertising or just membership and grants as source for funding? Who wants to go first?
Maybe I can start.
Okay.
So the first question is, I feel like, I think because a lot of times, I think people are like testing a lot, like thinking so much before starting. So again, there are like two ways. One is like going very sort of a typical way of like, starting your own business. You have a business plan, you have this, you have that, you have paperwork, and then you jump into the river. And the other way is like, you just like jump and then you will figure it out like slowly and start small if you want to do that. Because otherwise, like if you're thinking so much and just like planning and like all of this, then, like after probably 9 months as well, like you're still like planning. Because with the media or with the content, at least, if you're just starting with a small 1 or 2 verticals, like it's a podcast, if it's like maybe one sort of thing in a week or something, just like start putting it out on all the platforms. Because I was just like reading questions and someone asked that, which platform is the best, whether YouTube or Facebook? Like, you don't know. As I said earlier, there is no formula. And this is what I have realized after 4 or 5 years, because everyone will tell you about their experience. There is no algorithm. There is like nothing in your region, in your country, in your community. Maybe TikTok is the highest, but in my region, like the Facebook is the highest, or like the Instagram or the YouTube or the website. As an example, a lot of international sort of audiences or the people ask me like, like why you guys are not focusing on the website? We have the website, but literally in my head, it's just more of an archive that we are putting everything there as an archive. Because in Pakistan, like the internet speed is very bad and no one will go there to read the stuff and especially watch the videos. And the audience's behavior these days is like, you need to come in front of them where they live, rather than you take them from their house and bring them to your house. So the world has like now changed. Like there are like millions of options. Like we are not BBC or CNN that people will go there and read the news. So what you have to do is just test out every single platform and literally make one content, put it on all platforms, make small snippets for TikTok, small snippets for Instagram, maybe run a little bit of the ads, $2, $5, $10. These are like a very practical steps. And literally in like 3 months, you will know like, what is one of the content which is performing really well. And then just like literally excel on that. I forgot your second question.
Yeah. Does anybody have any other answer? Do you want to, any question that I asked that you would like to add or any suggestions? Okay, since no comment, I think we really went way beyond what we planned. So what I'd like to do, Talha, can you answer Christiana's question? Just type that response.
Yeah.
So I will now go around, probably 30 seconds. What do you think should be the take-home message from participants here? I'll start with our media founders. Thank you, Adriana, for still staying with us, and you will help us close this out. So, Miriam, so what do you think the take-home message for participants here should be?
By the way, I think the question that we forgot was if I think us and Gianpaolo were considering having advertising or not. I saw it somewhere, I don't know. But anyways, us, we are not, because our website, as I said, only publishes in English, and the audience for the English publications for the Caucasus is very limited. So at some point there will be no ways to grow. Like currently we're still growing, but like it's still limited how many people are interested in the Caucasus who will read it in English. And because of that, I don't think we will be able to attract big advertisers. So from the very beginning, we gave up on that idea and we never even tried. We tried briefly having this Google AdSense and so on, but again, not having this huge audience doesn't generate much revenue from that. And then our team is against sponsored content, so we don't do that either. And other types of advertising is just also the issue is having as a salesperson or business person, which we don't have. We have a person who does fundraising, and it's completely different because project writing and like contacting donors and so on is, I believe, quite different from, I don't know, like attracting different kinds of advertising. At this point, we never tried it. I don't rule out that maybe one day we will try in the future, but it's like on the bottom of our list. Currently, our goal is to convert more readers into supporters, convince them that it's actually worth paying money for quality journalism because it's very expensive. Overall, I don't know. I think my colleagues also mentioned it's very important to experiment a lot, try different things, and don't give up if something doesn't work out, because at some point, I'm sure you'll find, a plan or a strategy that will work for you, because something that works for us, for example, in this part of the world may completely not work in your country. It doesn't mean that you need to give up, but just continue. Like if you really want to have your journalist project bloom. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so Carlo is next on my screen. What do you think should be the take-home message for our participants?
I don't think I've got much to add to what I said before, except maybe if your audience understands that you are committed and that you value what you're doing, that you're not just doing it as a day job or for the money, which doesn't happen often with journalists, I guess, they will feel it and they might follow you. I just want to quickly answer to a question that was asked in the Q&A chat. We have advertising for non-members. They have Google ads on the website, but the figures are ridiculous. I mean, it's less than €5 a month, and with an audience such as ours, 75,000 unique visitors per month, it's not worth advertising on a website. So we are even considering getting rid of it. And as for OC Media, we don't believe in sponsored content. I mean, if you want to present yourself as an independent media, having sponsored content is not very consistent. I mean, business-wise, it's a pity because it can be a lot of easy cash coming in, but then you're not independent anymore, or it's complicated to tell to your subscribers or members or even the funders that you're independent.
Okay, and Talha, take a message.
I think my message would be literally like just start, like don't think too much, like, because this is what we do as humans. I personally, like, this is exactly what I do because we want to test out a lot of projects. As an example, I mentioned, like, recently we did a podcast with the former prime minister, and that was like a very huge thing. Like, we were viral in Pakistan at least for 3 to 4 days. The podcast was on the mainstream media and everything. And I'm not even kidding. I was planning to start my own podcast for the last 1 year. And this was the push from the God, really. And I literally got a call like 12 hours before that, okay, we are doing a podcast if you're interested, and I was there sitting with the former prime minister. And that was my first ever sort of camera interview, because a lot of times I try to avoid to come in front of the camera, and that was it. So a lot of times, a lot of products, which we wanted to now test out, but no, the visuals need to be perfect, the edit need to be perfect, the sound need to be perfect, this and that. It's just like no one cares. Like people will forget like the bad content if you gradually improve. Like a lot of times, like right now, I see my old content, I'm like, oh my God, what was I producing? Like look at the visuals, look at like the subtitles, look at this is not, but it's like nothing matters. You just literally start. And if you're one person, if you're two person, if you want to do this part-time, everything is possible if you actually want to do something.
Thank you very much. I don't know if Adriana still wants to come on.
I think everybody said the most important things based on experience, and that's the most golden advice you can get, the one that it has been lived by other entrepreneurs. So I don't have anything to add. Just jump in the world and do experiments and learn from them and document them so you can remember and don't make the same mistakes, and just keep going.
Okay, thank you very much, and to all our panelists. And we do not have time. I know what you're thinking. Where is Paul now? Yeah, I was actually addressing this from the sideline of the conference, and they will soon lock the hall, so I have to start finding my way out. I talked about the competition, the pitching competition that we plan to have. So this is what we are going to do. We have a form so that you are going to express your interest in participating. And so I've put the form. The link that I shared now takes you to the form. Fill in your media entrepreneurship idea, fill in everything. And we are going to address this and select a winner from it. And we are also going to invite some of those that submitted their ideas to present them next week. As one thing that I think I can say a lot about media entrepreneurship is this, like they've said it all, it's a fascinating journey. It's not something that no one has the key rules, no one has a trait. If anybody has a trait, everybody will be successful at it. So do not be afraid to experiment. And more importantly, for these competition, do not be too shy to share your ideas. We want to hear them. I want to also look at how we can encourage you to succeed. If you think today was exciting, next week also promises to be exciting. We have another mentor. We also have another set of innovators and media entrepreneurs that are going to also inspire you, to join you, to guide you and give suggestions. This is an ongoing conversation. We appreciate the connections that you've already made. And also, if you want us to help you with anything, in any way, do not hesitate to reach out to us and we'll see how we can help. Thank you very much for everyone, to our panelists. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much, Adriana, for staying behind long before what we said we are going to spend. Thank you very much for everyone. And it's live from Rwanda, Kigali. I say enjoy the rest of your day and bye from me. Enjoy. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.